All right, hi everybody. I'm Tony Affigne. I'm the State Committee Chair for the Green Party of Rhode Island.
Yay.
I'm also a member of the National Committee of the Green Party of the United States, where I have been for the last 18 years. And I'm here to bring the support of the Green Party, both nationally and in New England, to this effort to stop the Spectra pipeline. We're also part of this coalition, a grassroots coalition, the NOPE Coalition, and along with the Green Parties in Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York, have formed a Green Alliance to stop the pipelines. GASP.
Woo! Yes.
GASP will soon have, as well, the Green Party, the Green Rainbow Party of Massachusetts, and we hope to extend afterwards to the Green Parties in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Maine, ultimately Ohio. Those parties are among the strongest Green Parties in the country. Howie Hawkins is a candidate for governor in New York, Paul Glover, candidate for governor in Pennsylvania. The Maine Green Party is the largest per capita Green Party in the United States, and they will be fighting the tar sands pipeline from Montreal as well as the maritime pipeline coming down from the offshore facility.
Woo!
Now, why are we doing this? Why are so many of us, not only at the grassroots, but in political parties like the Green Party, getting involved in this struggle to stop the fossil fuel pipelines? Well, it's very simple. We've witnessed too many fossil fuel catastrophes to sit quietly by as Spectra Energy spent almost $1 billion to increase the pressure and the capacity of one of the oldest pipelines in the Northeast by 25%, to upgrade 40 miles of pipeline out of a total 220 miles, which will be under increased pressure. So all of the dangers of methane leaks, the dangers of explosions and fire, the dangers of water and air pollution will be much greater than they are now, because most of the so-called Algonquin pipeline is not being upgraded at all in order to handle the much greater pressure which Spectra wants to put in the pipeline in order to, as our speaker from SAPE said, get more oil to market. And not in New England at all, but overseas. If you look at a map of the Spectra pipeline, they call it Algonquin, but I'm not willing to do that. Algonquin is a noble indigenous language group spoken by dozens of tribes across the United States. To me, to call this pipeline Algonquin is to continue to call the Washington football team the Redskins. It's the same thing. We don't say Algonquin except when absolutely necessary. This is the Spectra Energy Partners pipeline, their northeast expansion. And if you look at the map of the so-called Algonquin leg from New Jersey to Massachusetts, you'll see that it ends 4 miles offshore in Massachusetts Bay. It does not end in Boston, it does not end in eastern Massachusetts, it actually terminates to the east of the LNG terminal. The LNG terminal in Canada is also an export point, so the Green Parties of the Northeast are simply not willing to tolerate the increased danger to our families, our neighborhoods, our soil and water, our air, in order to make it possible for more fracking gas, poisoning communities to the west of us, to be transported to market. We're opposed to the tariff, where the electric ratepayers in New England would essentially be asked to pay for the pipeline itself. Spectra keeps the money, but we bear the risk and we pay the price, not only of a higher priced gas, but the infrastructure price of installing the pipeline to begin with. Finally, we also know this pipeline is unnecessary. The Black Veatch report, commissioned by these governors, the New England governors, has already reported, it's on page 2, that with continued reasonable, renewable, and conservation development in New England, no further infrastructure improvements are needed. Their own energy consultant has concluded that if New England continues on our path of renewables and conservation, we're making progress. But the more progress we make on renewables and conservation, the less this gas is needed. And in fact, their own consultant concluded that no infrastructure improvements are necessary if we continue on our renewables path that we're already on. We're doing very well. We need to continue on that path. Methane pollution raises global temperatures even more than carbon dioxide. We know that. The pipeline also carries a variety of toxic chemicals. Speaking only of the Rhode Island segment, which is a few miles of pipeline and a compressor station upgrade, the right-of-way for this pipeline is 100 feet. The most recent explosion at a facility comparable to the compressor station of Burrillville had a 1,000-foot blast radius, and it set fire to the surrounding forest. Spectra has no plan in place for emergency response at any of the compressor stations along the route of this upgrade that would allow the volunteer fire departments, the local fire departments, police, ambulance, hospitals to deal with the potential impact of an accident. There is no emergency response plan in place that would sufficiently protect the people along this pipeline route from the potential risk of being there. In the end, we are absolutely against Spectra. Stop Spectra, go wind and solar with sufficient conservation, tidal, wind, geothermal, and solar energy. This pipeline will be unnecessary. Let's not spend $1 billion building an infrastructure that we'll simply have to abandon when we finally win this struggle and we turn the tap on fossil fuels to the off position.
Next up, is there anybody here from fossil-free Rhode Island who is prepared to speak?
I'm Lisa Petrie. I'm a member of Fossil Free RI, Rhode Island. We're dedicated to protecting our collective future by promoting divestment from fossil fuels and opposing extreme energy projects such as fracking and the pipelines that support it. Natural gas is a false solution to the climate crisis. Yes, it burns 50% cleaner than coal, but that ignores the serious problem of methane leaks, not just from aging pipelines, but also from drilling and fracking itself. When you factor in the methane leaks, the climate impact of fracked gas, such as this pipeline carries, is actually worse than coal. Furthermore, the whole notion of a bridge fuel is a fantasy. If you think we can build up a for-profit industry like natural gas and then just shove it aside when renewables are ready to take its place, just look at what's happened with big oil. Big oil has spent millions of dollars blocking action on climate change and even creating confusion about the science. Already, big gas is following in its footsteps, denying the health impacts of natural gas and suing counties that try to ban fracking, riding roughshod over the rights of communities to bolster their profits. By investing in this industry, we're feeding the next beast that we're going to have to fight. In fact, the expansion of natural gas is already slowing the growth of renewables by providing a cheaper alternative that's perceived as clean. And whenever we build new infrastructure for fossil fuels, we're shaping our energy future for the next 30 to 50 years. In fact, the International Energy Agency, hardly a radical environmental group, has said that whatever we build now that produces carbon will continue to do so for decades to come, and that this lock-in effect will be the single most important factor putting us at risk for runaway global warming. 3 months ago, scientists at Stanford University put forth a plan showing how each state can meet 100% of its energy needs by 2050 with renewables only, and 80 to 85% of those needs by 2030. But that's not going to happen if we keep building new pipelines for fossil fuels. It can only happen if we let fossil fuels go the way of the dinosaurs and put all of our resources into conservation and renewables, such as solar and wind. By the way, that study I was talking about is the Solutions Project that Susanna Glidden was talking about. We need bold leadership at every level of government to make this happen. And right now, we need our governors to say no to this pipeline expansion, and yes to making New England a leader in the clean energy revolution, yes to green jobs, and yes to a livable future for our children and grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo!